Welcome to the SAP S4 HANA Sales and Distribution Training. This course is basically designed for the consultant level training, and especially this first introduction video is only for the beginners who are having no background in SAP. And if you already working in SAP and just want to learn SAP S4 HANA SD, then you can skip this introduction video and move to the next video. But all the beginners are advised to watch this video first. So let us first look at who can learn SAP S4 HANA SD. Anyone can learn this module, which is SD. No previous knowledge is needed for this course. You will be learning S4 HANA SD front end and also its back end customizing. Not only configuration, but you will also understand SD from the business point of view. The only expectation from you is your desire, your commitment, and your passion to learn. Target audience: sales executives, customer service reps, project managers, SAP consultants, power users, business process owners. So before we move on to SAP, we need to understand what is ERP, because SAP is an ERP software. Now what is ERP? Let's understand first, then we'll move on to SAP. So what is ERP? ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning, which refers to a type of software that organizations use to manage day-to-day business activities such as accounting, procurement, project management, risk management, supply chain, production planning, material management, a lot of stuff. So only one common software which is used for all the different departments of a company. A complete ERP system also includes enterprise performance management software that helps plan, budget, predict, and report on an organization's financial results. So that's what ERP is. Now, why we need ERP? What are the benefits of using ERP and ERP software? So first is the integration of the business processes. So all the business processes are integrated into one common software. Standardization of system across locations. So it doesn't matter if a company is a big company, they are having plants in different geographic locations. So they're all using the one common standard procedure across all different locations. For overall control of the organization, for better controlling of different business processes. Better reporting system. We have better reporting because all the different departments, or you can say modules, are integrated into one common software. So it's not like that sales department using a different software for sales order processing, accounting department using a different one, warehouse people using a different software. Because we're using a one common software, which is ERP, so that's why we can have a better reporting. So better reporting means, for example, if somebody asks for a report which includes some data from SD side and also some data from material management side and also some data from accounting side. So because we're using one software, so all the data resides in the same system, so we can have a better reporting system. So we'll discuss more about it in the later videos. And also for the best utilization of resources like man, material, and machines. So let us look at quickly the ERP products in the market. So SAP, which is the #1 product in the market, where they are having more than 60% market share. And then we got some other software, for example, Oracle, BAN, PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, Marshall, and there are some other small softwares. So they are basically used for the small companies, but SAP is basically used in the medium level to the large organization. So that was a ERP. Now we'll talk about what is SAP. So SAP is basically an ERP software, and let us understand what is SAP first. So SAP stands for System Applications and Products in Data Processing. There are more than 10 million users worldwide, 30,000 installations, more than 1,000 partners, and they are providing 21 different industry solutions. That means they got different solutions for retail industry, automobile industry, mining industry, stuff like that. Worldwide, mostly Fortune 500 companies using this SAP system, and 95% of the top 100 German companies are also using this SAP system. SAP is the 4th largest software company in the world, and the SAP system is a business software package designed to integrate all areas of a business. For example, SD, which is sales side of it, material management, production planning, and FI, which is a accounting side of a company. Now let's look at the modules available in SAP. Now there's so many modules. Let's look at some common of them. Now these modules we can divide into two different parts. So basically they are one called functional modules and other one called technical modules. So functional modules, we can have modules like FI, which is the financial planning. We got controlling, then HR, then SD, which is sales and distribution, material management, production planning, CRM, and there are many other modules in functional side of SAP. Then we also got some technical modules. Now for technical modules, ideally you need to have some technical IT relevant background, but ideally it's not necessary. Still you can learn it, but for functional you don't need any background. So some example of technical modules are BASIS, ABAP, which is a coding side of it, BIBW, SAP Enterprise Portal, HANA, UI5, etc. So these are the technical modules. Now let us understand what is SAP SD. So as we know, SD stands for the sales and distribution. So SD module is a part of SAP logistic module that manages customer relationship starting from the raising a quotation to a sales order and then finally billing of the product or the service. SD helps to manage the shipping, billing, selling, and transportation of products and services of a company. It is one of the important modules in SAP ERP software. The SD module consists of all master data, system configuration, and transaction to complete the sales and logistic processes. This module is closely integrated with the other modules like material management, accounting, warehouse management, production planning, etc. So we'll talk all these integration points in the later videos in more details. So like you can see in this in picture that how the SD module is integrated with other modules. So here in the middle we have SD, and SD is then interfaced with other modules like FI, HR, QM, quality management. PM stands for plant maintenance, then material management. PS stands for project systems, production planning, and controlling. Now quickly look at the SAP history. So SAP first started with the R1 system in 1972. So this was the first SAP version, and it was a one-tier system, and it was a very basic system, and it could be used in using any database. Then they launched R2 version in 1979. This was a two-tier system. It was a bit slower. It was a mainframe system, and any database we can use in this system, and it was not a good interface. Then they launched R3 in 1992, and it was a three-tier system. It was a GUI interface. The speed was good as before to the previous versions, and they also introduced iDoc and ALE for the automatic transaction creation, for example, sales order, purchase order, etc. And any database can be used for R3 as well. And they also provided with R3 some industry specific solution, for example, for retail, automobile industry, real estate industry, etc. And then the next version was ECC. So this was launched in 2004. It was a three-tier system. They also introduced some new modules like CRM, SRM, APO. That there was some advanced modules. And OOPS ABAP, which is a part of programming, was also introduced. It was a web-based interface. And after that, HANA as a database was launched in 2011. So initially it was only a database only, where all the data resides in the memory instead of hard disk. It was a very high speed. For the high speed and for better performance, this system was launched. And then they launched in 2015 S4 HANA. So with this version, the ABAP was all the ABAP coding, the old ABAP coding was recoded, data model simplified. HANA database was used only in this one. We can't use any other database. And Fury apps were launched. Data footprint reduction was provided. MRP Live was provided. OLTP, OLAP, etc. was provided, and on-the-fly calculation was possible. Now, I'll talk all what this means. I will talk in more details in one of the next videos. So this is just a brief introduction. So that's all about the history. Now we'll talk about the difference between ECC and S4 HANA. Now again, in this video, I'm talking very briefly. I'll talk more detail about the differences between ECC and S4 HANA in one of the next video. So briefly, what is a basic difference between ECC and S4 HANA, because a lot of beginners, they sometimes get confused that what is ECC and what is S4 HANA. So let's quickly look at it. So here you can see on the left hand side ECC HANA, which we can run on any database, for example Oracle, IBM, even on HANA database we can run it. Now with the latest S4 HANA, this can be only run on the HANA database, which is very fast. Point number 2, traditional SAP system since 2004, whereas S4 HANA was launched recently in 2015. And point number 3, data resides in the hard disk, whereas in S4 HANA, data resides in the main memory RAM and updated in the hard disk. So because of this reason that data resides in the RAM, in the memory, that's why it provides faster access for the data. System speed is normal, point number 4, and in S4 HANA, it's very fast, providing very fast processing of data. Number 5, end user access this system via SAP GUI, or if you don't know what is GUI, I'll talk again in more detail in the next video. Whereas end user can access either via Fury apps, but can also access via GUI. SAP ECC is less expensive as compared to S4 HANA. Point number 7, standard transactions and reports were there, where in S4 HANA, there are more advanced features and reporting. Now, especially if you already worked with ECC before, then you might have a question, why should I learn S4 HANA? So let's look at it, that why you should be moving from, or why you should choose S4 HANA as compared to ECC. First point is biggest move in the ERP technology so far. So because of the launch of S4 HANA, SAP is way ahead, I would say at least 10 years ahead than as compared to the all the other ERP software in the market. So this is a very big move here from the technology point of view, from the functionality point of view, everything. SAP officially announced that they will no longer support ECC 6 after 2025. So after 2025, they won't be supporting it, they won't be fixing any bugs, but that doesn't mean that all the companies will stop using ECC 6 because still today R3, a lot of companies are still using ECC R3, which is a previous version of ECC 6. And even though SAP is not providing any support for R3 version, but still some companies still using them. So they won't be supporting it, they won't be fixing any bugs, but still a lot of companies will be using in the future even after 2025, but slowly they might move to S4 HANA one day in the near future. Most of the new future implementation will be S4 HANA. So all the companies there, if they're providing first time they're installing SAP system, so they will go for S4 HANA, not for SAP ECC. New analytical capabilities. So S4 HANA provides a lot of different analytical capabilities that can provide day-to-day help for the end users. So what are these capabilities? What are these new functionalities? What are these functions? We'll talk in more details in the next videos. Big demand for HANA migration projects. So also a lot of companies worldwide who are already using ECC now, they are migrating to S4 HANA. So there is also a big demand for the migration project where they're moving from ECC to S4 HANA system. And finally, many more new features which are provided in S4 HANA that makes it very different and very advanced as compared to ECC. So these are the basic reason, either now or later, but as soon as possible, you should be moving from ECC to S4 HANA if you're already working in ECC. Now we'll discuss role of SAP SD Consultant. So a lot of new beginners, newcomers, they ask question like what they do, what their day-to-day tasks. So briefly here I'll talk about it. So basically there are two types of job if you're SAP SD Consultant. So one is the SAP SD Support Consultant job. That means you're providing day-to-day support to the direct to the client, to the company. So basically, for example, a company say a Toyota company, the car manufacturing company, they're also using SAP, but they're also having a consultant, support consultant for different modules, including SD. So there will be a job for SAP SD consultant for supporting the day-to-day stuff. So all the SD end users, people using day-to-day, the sales orders, delivery, invoices, they're getting some sort of errors or some questions, etc. So somebody needs to handle it. So these are handled by the SAP SD support consultant. So these jobs are basically 9-to-5 jobs, and we'll talk all the responsibilities in a minute. Now other types of job are SAP SD consultant, where you work, basically you get some job in big companies, IT companies like IBM, Accenture, etc., where the company will send you to their clients for project or implementation. For example, you will go to XYZ company, you will send you're working in IBM, and they will send you to XYZ company for the project or for the implementation of the SAP system, where you will be a part of the implementation team, where you will be with others SAP consultants. For example, other consultant can be senior SD consultant in other modules like ABAP, account, FI, PP, MM, etc. So you'll be part of the implementation team, and you will go there and you will implement the system from scratch. So let's look at briefly what are the day-to-day job responsibilities for these two types of jobs. So let's first look at the job profile of a support consultant. So the day-to-day tasks are like attending the issues with the SAP SD end users. So end users are the people who are using on the system on a day-to-day basis, as I said before, like creating quotations, printing the output, or say sales order, invoices, creating deliveries, stuff like that. So attending their day-to-day issues, then gathering requirements from the users, mapping requirements into SAP and changing SAP configuration if required, coordinating with the developer for enhancements, helping end users with user acceptance testing, delivering SAP training to the end users, creating training documents, etc. So these are the common duties. But the main job is to provide support to the end users, and also if there is a requirement, then you might be asked to change the configuration to get the things done. Then second type of job, as I said before, where you will be working with the implementation team. So here you will be gathering the customer requirement, scoping, looking at the gap analysis, and preparing the blueprints. You will be customizing and delivering the solution. You'll be coordinating with the technical team for enhancements, testing the changes done in the system, documenting the process, training end users, etc. So these are the common duties. Now we'll discuss how to follow this video course. So this is an e-learning video-based training. This is a complete SAP consultant level course. Even if you are working as a power user, if you want to get some knowledge in power users, you will get more knowledge than what you need for a day-to-day power user job. But this course is designed for if you want to work as SAP consultant. This course covers complete syllabus prescribed for the latest S4 HANA sales certification exam. Now you will notice that first few videos are all about learning the front end, which is more look like the end user stuff, but the remaining videos will be all about learning the customizing and the business processes. How to follow this course? We recommend you to watch all videos first and then start the practical task on your SAP system. Main reason is that you might face some unknown errors during practicing linked to the incorrect customizing in PP, FI, CO modules if your server is shared by other students as well. So some topics explained in the later videos will provide you knowledge about these errors, and you should be able to fix it yourself. For example, if from day one you started practicing, you look at the maybe some initial starting videos and you looked at how to create a sales order. You try to create a sales order, but you may notice that there is no shipping point. So system is throwing some error that there is no shipping point and it's not available in the system. So if you're a beginner, if you have not watched the later videos, then you might get stuck. So, but in the later videos, you will learn everything, that why you get such errors and how to fix it. So you will be able to fix all such errors like determination of the shipping point and plant, etc. So that's why we recommend that you first watch all videos first and then start practice. If you're still confident to start practical tasks from day one, from video number 1, then still fine, go ahead with that one. Also some guidelines from us that how to prepare for S4 HANA SD certification exam. So I would advise to follow below strategies, but please feel free to change as per your own experience and comfort. Now first look at the learning mode. So during the learning via the video training, we recommend you to watch all videos in order first, and then watch each video again in order and practice for every topic on your SAP system and complete all videos and topics. Now watch all videos again, but this time only go through the practicals for the topics where you do not feel confident. So that's the learning phase. And one more point, watch only those videos at the last where you do not feel confident. So now you're ready for certification exam, then prepare for it. So how do we prepare for it? We'll be providing you some videos about some questions and answers like the certification exam questions. So now go through the certification exam questions and see how well you can answer. You will be able to self-access whether you are ready and confident for appearing in the SAP certification exam or not. Please keep revising until you feel confident. So go through the videos, practice all the topics, and remember the only key to learn SAP and pass certification exam is practice, practice, practice. So a lot of our students, they do not practice, they just keep watching videos and they go for the exam and they do not get very good score. And the main thing is, if you just watch something, you might forget later on, but when you practice on the system, it will be there in your subconscious mind forever. So even if you go for interview or something, if you get some real-time job, then you'll be able to do it yourself if you have done the practice before. So that's why it's very, very important that you must practice each topic. So now we'll discuss briefly the types of data in SAP. So there are basically different master data. So for example, customer master data, material master data, output master data, vendor, pricing master data, bills of material. So these are the different types of master data. So for example, we will create a, say, material master data. So we'll create a material code once in the system, and that will be used by the, for example, sales order. When we enter the code in the sales order, system will be pulling all the details from the master data. So if you're creating a, say, purchase order, then system will be pulling all the data. So when you enter the material code in the purchase order, system will be pulling all the details of the master data from the material master data. Same thing goes for customer. We maintain customer only once, and when we create the sales order or any sales transaction like contract, quotation, system will be pulling all the customer master data from the customer master data table. So these are the master data. So there are basically three types of data, or we can say four. So first is master data, where we maintain all master data. Again, we'll look at in detail in the next videos. Then the second type of data we have is the transactional data. So as I just said, that using the master data, we create the transaction data. For example, sales order. When you create a sales order, what you need is basically the customer master data and the material master data. So we enter all the customer details and the material details in a sales order. Same goes for whether it's a production order, whether it's a purchase order, whether it's a sales order. These are the transactional data. So there are many other transactional data like billing document, delivery document, quotations, contracts, so many that we'll talk later on in more details. So these are the transactional data. Then we got some customizing data. So we maintain the customizing that we'll be learning in this course, and they are different types of customizing data which is specific to a sales organization, for example, or a company code or a plant specific. So what that means is customizing can be different for one plant and can be very different for the other plant. Same goes for sales organization, company code, etc. So we can have a different customizing setting depending on the business requirement for different levels of the org structure. And the fourth type is the reports, basically. So reports are basically are created using the master data and the transactional data. For example, if we need a report for, say, all the open billing documents, so that means we need customer details and also the transaction details. So same goes, we need a report for, say, all the open sales order, for example. Again, we need customer master data and we also need the transactional data. So that's the reports. Again, we'll talk in more details in the later videos. But reports are created or developed using the master data and the transactional data. So that's all about this introduction video. We'll talk more about it, all the different topics in the next videos. So please keep watching. Thank you very much.